Hey, Chris Liepe here with Phil Anselmo, Pantera, Dr. Phil. Not Dr. Phil. He's a very different person than Dr. Phil. Anyway, I'm excited to get into this one. A lot of you have been asking for him, and he's got quite the range, both pitch-wise and dynamically. There's a lot of different qualities to his screams, and then don't even get me started on the end of Cemetery Gates. So we're going to get into this. Remember, this is not about imitation. This is not about trying to sound like Phil Anselmo. This is about studying him and putting what he does in our voices and then seeing what kind of sounds come out as we ingest and internalize the feels that happen when we take inspiration in singing like him. And you'll be way more in tune with this approach and truly understand how to take in what other singers do and apply it to your own voice if you have the fundamentals down with your voice. Breath support, airflow management is one of the biggest things that people don't pay attention to. When they are trying to do distortion and singing aggressively, they go right to the neck, which is the wrong thing to do. If you want help dialing in this whole thing, click the link below and join my free vocal course, and I'll help you dial this in so that you can do this kind of stuff with your voice. All right, let's get started. Example 1.
Stay away from me.
Okay, let's unpack this. This is going to be a similar approach to what you've seen me do before, at least in this example, as the James Hetfield video that I did. We're going to start by holding our breath, completely holding all the air back and let a little bit of air through, like this. You should hear little squeaks, a little bit of gurgling, that kind of thing. And then you're going to practice the coordination of letting more air through while pushing a little bit more air up from your primary support. Again, if you don't understand how to support your voice, you're not going to be able to do this. But I'm going to assume that you've either joined my free vocal course or that you already understand this as we move forward.
Stay away.
So if we're going to do stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away. That's really the raw technique there. Now we want to combine that with pitch. Stay away from me.
Stay away from
Stay away from me. That's way too clean, but that's basically what he's doing. I don't think he's doing that. Me. I might have added that.
Stay away from me.
No, it's stay away from me. That's more what it's like. Let's combine these approaches though. Stay away from me. Stay away. And if we dial that back, stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away. And we get more and more extreme with it. Stay away from me, stay away from me. That shouldn't hurt at all. You'll feel a little bit of heat. But what's happening is you're creating false chord engagement above your primary chords. So you have other tissues that are going to bat for you that are creating this blocking of air. And so you're not going harder and harder on your primary vocal cords. If you start to cough or your voice gets, or your vocal cords get really dried out, and you start feeling like you might get hoarse, you're doing it wrong. It needs to be above your primary chords. That's where the sensation needs to come from. Stay away from me! Stay away from me! So that is the basis of what he's doing in this example. Next.
Are you talking to me?
Okay, now he's slightly higher in pitch, but what I like about this is that we don't have a particular pitch. He's talking. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? This is really fun when you're doing these sorts of examples to try to experiment with pitch-wise, not note-wise, where things can land in your own voice. Are you talking to me? Now, this is assuming we've got this compression, this hypercompression so that the distortion comes out. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Oh, it's a balance. Are you talking to me? 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 Now, I'm just going around in different areas in my range and applying that same compression, that same coordination. Now, this takes a lot of practice if you haven't done it before. And so if you start doing this and then you can't get it right after watching the video, don't worry, that's perfectly normal. When you first start, it's going to be very awkward. It's going to go right from smooth, you're going to sound like a swine instead of having this more strategic, refined distortion happening. It's okay to sound like a squealing swine while you're dialing it in. Next. Okay, this is one of the things that Phil will do a lot, where he's got his sort of baseline grit note compression thing, and then he'll throw his voice up while completely getting rid of any decipherable pitch. So it's this scream that happens higher than the main line. There's lots of examples of him doing that, particularly in Cowboys from Hell. This is a great example. Listen carefully. Coming for you! We're the Cowboys from Hell! Right, that's your bass pitch. And of course, what I just did there is I threw my voice into head voice. We want to get this stuff clean first and just sort of ease into it, and then start adding this distortion, this grit, this false chord engagement on top of this clean thing. Even though we're not hearing them do that, that's how we want to practice it, because it's going to help us get things placed correctly in our throat. Coming for! There's the coming for you! Okay. So we're going to get the bass grit on that bass pitch. Coming for you with the Cowboys from Hell! Coming for you! Coming for you with the Cowboys from Hell! Cowboys from Hell! Right? Now we want to get that yo! Now, with this, there's a combination of using this compression mindset and technique, and you've seen me do this in other videos, but we're going to go and flirt with our vocal break. So if I'm going to isolate that yo, I'm going to pretend that there's a pitch up there. I'm going to name a pitch. Yo! I think that's what I'm going to do. Coming for yo! Like that. I'm gonna think that pitch. But then I'm going to approach that pitch and I'm gonna let my voice break, crack around that pitch. Now you start to hear that false chord engagement because my primary chords are not fully closed all the time. And so that air is being contained sort of by my false chord engagement. So we're gonna throw up to that, and at the same time, let our voice crack or break very quickly. And that's gonna give us this sound. Coming for you, or the Cowboys from Hell! Coming for you, or the Cowboys from Hell! Next, and here's another example of that high-pitched scream and then grounding in a lower thing. Same approach, but we have to be more attentive to the tone of this higher scream. And that's going to require not only what we do with our face and our face tissues, but also choosing a higher note, a higher example note to ground ourselves in. You can actually hear a bit of head voice in there. Listen. There's this really fast cracking that's going on, if you listen carefully. Here we come! That's a high pitch. Here we come, reach for your gun. Here we come! 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 Reach for your gun! He's got it high. Here we come! Reach for your gun! That's the idea. But we're breaking into it. And over time, over practicing this, you're going to be able to figure out how to do this stuff faster and faster so it doesn't sound like, here we come! Reach for you, right? You learn the way these things are supposed to feel so that you can dial them in on command. Next. Now, this is a really good example of him still using a fair amount of compression, even though it doesn't come across as distortion. Listen carefully again. This is not left to my misery. Not at all. But if we take the same idea of holding back air, left to my and then we start letting air through, we've got that engagement that feels like it's coming from above our larynx, but not enough to have it start gurgling or breaking up. So not like this. Left to my misery, left to my misery. Now he's done that kind of stuff on other examples, but we're going to dial it back. Left to my misery. Left to my misery. Left to my misery. There's all sorts of ways you can play with that, but I hope you hear it creates this breathiness, it creates this sheen. That's not coming from whispering, that's coming from a mild false chord engagement above your primary chords. Left to my misery, left to my misery, left to my misery, left to my misery, left to my misery. Some really neat harmonics that come out as you experiment with this type of singing. Left to my misery, left to my misery, left to my misery, left to my misery, left to my misery. We can lower, open our throat, lower our larynx. Left to my misery, left to my misery. We can raise it. Left to my misery. Brings out a little more grit. I need to dial back the amount of compression so that it's not gritting up. Left to my misery. Left to my misery. Next. Okay, now we're going to hone in on both parts here. There's some doubling going on. But that higher part, he's using less compression than we've heard him use this whole time. Say my soul! He's going for it. It's open throat, and he's not doing this. Say my soul! Where he's doing that again. He's not flirting with his vocal break either. He's very open, and he's intentionally very clean. Why? Because it's a gang part or a group part or a background vocal part. We need this to be clean. And he's really good at being able to do both of those things. He can hit things cleanly. He can hit things with any amount of grit that he wants. And there's examples all over their recordings of this. Say my soul! Right? And then listen to the lower part. Say next, and we're going to hone in on the higher part here. There's some doubling and layering going on, but I want to point out something specifically with this higher part. Say my soul! Now, this shows his ability to be very clean, high, and powerful. It's doubled. It's a gang part. It's a background vocal sort of thing. And we don't want it to be, say my soul! Say my soul! We don't want that. We want it to be more transparent, more blend-worthy. And so he's really good at letting that happen. He doesn't have to approach these notes, these powerful notes, with grit, with compression. There's a lot more dimensions to his voice, and he's very intentional about what he's doing and why he's doing it. So, not, say my soul! Right? It's, say my soul! A good lesson in being willing and able to practice singing all types of notes, all types of ways. Next. I warned you this was coming. Now, this is quintessential high mixed voice. It's thin. You can hear compression. You can hear false chord engagement. You hear a little bit of that grit in that range. It's wonderful. He starts out at an E5, and then as he builds at the end of the song, he's up at an A5, almost an A5. Amazingly high, amazingly coordinated and controlled. Let's look at how to get this sound. And I have some advice for you. When we're trying to go for these, the first thing that a lot of people try to do is hit the pitch. Oh, I can at least just get the pitch that he's doing. And in some cases, when they're more reasonable pitches that we are confident we can always hit, that's a good thing to do. But if we're pressuring ourselves to hit a pitch that we're not that comfortable hitting, we will let our goal, this is a mental thing, we will let our goal to hit the pitch keep us from understanding how he's approaching the singing. So we might get it, go real high up there. That's the E5, up to that G almost. But that's only part of it. Like, we don't just want to sound like a whiny person who's hitting up there. We want what sounds right, what sounds good. So we're going to make that E our loose goal, but we're going to focus more on the different types of engagements we can create to get a good tone out of this note. There's a pitch. Yeah. There it is. But there's more girth up there. Let's work on that. We're going to add compression at a note that's close to that note and in that same tonality. So we're going to go... We've got a little bit more girth there. We're using compression in our mixed voice. I have a lot of videos on mixed voice and how to find it and how to get there. So be sure to check out some of those if this is foreign to you. Yeah! We want that girth, right? That's compression. That's proper positioning for a well-supported mixed voice. Now we're going to take that feel and we're going to throw our voice up closer to that E. Yeah! 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 And remember, we're not trying to imitate. We're paying careful attention to how things feel as we dial in and dissect different layers of what he's doing and putting it in our own voice. So don't press yourself to sound just like him. Get the coordinations. Practice the coordinations. Yeah! 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 Let your voice do what it's going to do. Have fun with it. Feel it. Yeah! Yeah! Next. Now, this echoey thing is a really good example of lots of compression. It's a yell. I wouldn't call it a scream, but there's this descending tone that happens. And this is fun to work on, and it's fun to dial in your level of grit as you're working over this yell. Control! Long, low larynx. He's not control! No, it's control! Very, very open. And your mouth is open too. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add the compression that we were talking about at the beginning to the point of that breakup, keeping that longer, more open, lower sound and feel. Control! 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 It's very easy when you hear this kind of thing to think, oh, he's just yelling really loud and his voice is naturally breaking up. Well, I don't know how much he's actually thinking when he's doing this, but if you want to do it safely, you do it by approaching it with the compression mindset. We don't have to be that loud to get this. Yeah, we want a good belty control, control, but I'm not just going to keep going louder and louder until my voice fails or almost fails. I'm going to protect it by using false chord, strategic false chord engagement. Control, control. And the cool thing is I can get pretty low. Control, pretty guttural with that compression-based mindset and technique. Next, and this is kind of the other side to aggressive singing, which you'll hear in a minute. Now there, you don't hear a pitch per se, you just hear this blistering scream, which is very different than, even though we weren't going for a particular note in the last example, we had that very clear pitch, even though it was moving and wasn't a note, behind the grit. The grit was on top of that. Here, the distorted, the screamy stuff is way more prominent, but it's still, the pitch idea is still there. We just want less true chord, less primary chord presence, and more false chord presence, more false chord engagement. Let's build it. I'm broken! I'm broken! Okay, that's where we're gonna start. But we want it way less, and way more, yeah! Right? So, even in that thing that I just did there, you can hear the sense of tone behind the scream. I'm broken! I'm gonna exploit my vocal break, and then I'm going to shape the tone with my mouth so that it's not as bright. I'm broken! I'm broken! I'm broken! 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 Thanks so much for watching and requesting Phil from Pantera. I hope to do more of these, so let me know what other artists you'd like me to break down. Maybe one of them came to mind as you watch this video. And again, if you want more control over your own voice, and you'd like me to help you explore more possibilities with your voice, click that link below and join my free vocal course. We'll see you for more.